back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford. Right back at you here. The Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. On our latest show of shows, known as the Pop Culture Cosmos, we're talking a lot of good things, including Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which you need to play. You need to play it. It is really, really good. I'll leave it at that. Plus, also, as well, we talk about other things, including what's going on in some of the movies and television shows that are out there. So go ahead and check out what we're doing. So we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture. Although, just found out, guess who's coming back to Marvel? Couldn't stay away from that cash. Captain America, maybe? Johnny Storm, maybe? Well, you'll have Chris Evans because he's coming back for Avengers Doomsday. So there's a little tidbit for you. You want more? Head on over to the Pop Culture Cosmos, indeed. But also, as well, inside sports, fantasy football. Joe Soro and I got you last week. Who'll be on this week? We'll go ahead and talk about what's trending in the NFL. Thank you, Josh Allen. 51 points. I think I sent Chris word. It is the largest output by a quarterback for fantasy points in 50 years. So yes, there you have it. Josh Allen. There you go. Indeed. Inside Sports Fantasy Football, plus also as well the Lakerholics crew, Lakerholics.com. I hope to get on later this week L-Rob from the Lakerholics. He won't have Laker Tom talking up a storm. He'll be on with me for a day upcoming this week if everything works out right. So go ahead and check him out and what the guys are doing at Lakerholics.com. But happy birthday again. Once again, 80 years strong for Laker Tom, indeed. But also as well, of course, Legend, who was on earlier, Legend 350. If you're listening on audio, I'll probably post it on the back end of this episode, as far as for you listening on there. Go ahead and check out Legend's new channel. Also as well, of course, Alfred Esmond, Stone Hansen. Hopefully we can have lunch again with him real soon. Of course, Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, covering the Dodgers and Lakers. Of course, Danny Barry Sports Highlights, yo, and also as well, John McKaylee channel. All these great channels, please go ahead and support them. But also support us with the like and subscribe. Joe, we are almost at 1,950 subscribers, my friend. 1950. We're almost there. We're at 47. Do you think we can get to the 2,000 before the end of the month?
No.
Man, the positivity just oozes out of you. But if you can, prove Joe wrong by subscribing today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. Xbox says Chris Evans is overrated. I want him out. Okay. All right. Well, not a Chris Evans fan, he is.
Well, can't argue with Mark on a lot of things, so maybe I have to agree with him on that.
I disagree. I think he was a great Captain America, so that's just me. But I'll have to argue with him on that. But then again, we compared him to Chris Hemsworth there yesterday. So there you go. Could he be the next Thor? If Chris Hemsworth retire, could Xbox be the next Thor?
Yes.
Okay. Work on that American accent, Mark, in your off time when you're not playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So hopefully you'll get hired by the Russos here shortly, indeed. But once again, it is
Russos are good.
Yeah, well, they're coming back. Who do you think is directing the Doomsday? Marvel's pulling out the Brinks truck. They've got.
But remember, folks, movies and TV it's all about timing. And if they think they can have that Marvel magic just appear because you got all the gang back, it's different. It's different.
Well, even if it gets close, I think they'll be happy with that. But, Deadpool and Wolverine, over $1 billion at the box office. So Marvel still can put out some good stuff. But we'll see, like you said.
The thing is, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are very well liked, and they're universal. I'm not saying people don't like Chris Hemsworth or Robert Downey Jr., but people don't like Disney a lot either. I think that when they look at Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, they kind of imagine that it's not Disney a lot of times.
I don't know about that, Joe. They're liking Moana 2 right now.
Well, children like that, so parents don't care about any of that. Just like me, when I take my kids to Disneyland, I don't want to go to Disneyland, but my kids love Disneyland, so we'll take them to Moana too.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. Earning almost
My
actually
my
over $700 million
yeah,
dollars.
my family wants to go see Wicked on Friday. Not yeah, so but I'm not gonna go see it. They're gonna go see it themselves.
You gonna go see Gladiator 2 instead?
No, 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 no.
Oh, okay.
I have things to do Friday that
Okay.
pertain to things that aren't I don't know. I got other things to do.
Oh, like the Lakers, for instance. The Lakers will be playing against Minnesota on Friday, so there you go.
Yeah, I'll be mobile that night.
Well, Xbox, all I'll say is this. I think they should have kept it a secret. Both Chris Evans and RDJ, they should have kept it a secret and should have made it a surprise for the fans and see how that reacts. But again, we don't live in that world anymore when you can make it a surprise and just, well, I guess we'll see what happens. But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. And in the days off, it's now time to reflect on what's going on with the 13-11 Lakers, eighth place in the Western Conference, mired, as we talked about with Legend, that you'll hear on the back end for audio listeners. So you can already see it on for as far as the viewers are concerned for YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. We talked about that grouping. The Lakers are mired in that grouping of play-in, back-end playoff teams right there in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way down to 12th, all mired in the same record, all having their ups and downs. I know Joe and Empire Jeff talked about how the next few games before they reach Christmas are not going to be pleasant for the Lakers, but you know, Portland, it was what it was. It wasn't exactly the overwhelming domination we were hoping for. Portland is a really bad team, and it looks it. And the Lakers should have dusted them off even easier, even without LeBron. But hey, we'll take the win, 9 points. Of course, it was 20 points before, the scrubs came in, and I'll leave it at that. But that being said, the Lakers are 13-11. Doesn't look like you and I need to be eating olives anytime soon. This has been an up and down roller coaster ride from the get-go under JJ Redick. I know there's a lot of finger pointing, especially in the comments I have to answer still yet on YouTube. Everybody, finger pointing in one direction or the other. It's coach, it's the coaches, it's the players, it's LeBron. It's not LeBron, it's not the coaches, it's Rob Pelinka. It's been an up and down season so far, Joe, but can it be saved? Can it get to the right direction where at least to the point where the team is competitive going forward?
I mean, it's the NBA. You have teams. Didn't Portland beat Atlanta and Denver twice or something like that? I mean, I don't. Sure, they'll be competitive. They have LeBron and AD,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as their worth, the ultimate worth, it's gonna not really matter when it matters.
Well, because you had, like all of us, Denver still rated pretty high, but they've been struggling. They actually have a record similar to the Lakers. Phoenix has been absolutely miserable. They're 1-9, Joe, without KD in the lineup. That's the one that surprises me right there. That they're like night and day. It is like not even close. It's like night and day when KD is on or off the floor. And he wasn't this effective this time last year, which makes it all the more surprising, or as I should say, as effective for the team. Your thoughts on this, my friend? Because, in the past, the off and on for LeBron, as far as that's concerned, LeBron in almost every other year you could imagine has been a plus for the team. And then when he's off the floor, it's been a big minus. This year, not so much. I know some of the finger pointing has come his way. I know Sharon had some real distinct thoughts about it on LeBron's side, just like so many others. Like I'll point out Darren, for instance. Darren is absolutely not on the LeBron side. I mean, at this point, do you say the team would be better off seeing what you saw on Sunday night without LeBron in the lineup?
I don't see any positive in not having LeBron in the lineup. It's just not. This team is not constructed to deal with any legitimate contender without LeBron on the roster. However, LeBron has too many. He has too many lulls in games where he costs his team 7, 8, 9 points that should have been by JJ Redick, since it's his friend, should have been snuffed out by now. And I think at the beginning it wasn't there, but as soon as things went sour, you started seeing it more. And this is another knock on LeBron in terms of his mental state during a basketball game, and a lot of reasons why there's always some kind of polarizing issue with LeBron James. He tends to be a child. He plays like a child sometimes. He doesn't play like a man, and he pouts and he whines. And someone can interpret whining to complaining to being angry and having a discussion. It's a matter of interpretation. I don't think you can misinterpret LeBron when he doesn't get what he wants. He turns into a baby. And it costs the Lakers points during the game. And it usually costs them points when you think it doesn't matter, and it does. Doesn't matter if you make that mistake in the second quarter. If you cost your team 4 to 6 points because you made a boneheaded decision that you didn't have to make, that you weren't forced into making, then it will catch up to you in a 48-minute game, especially at the end. And there doesn't seem to be an understanding there. And this is supposed to be the smart guys. These are the people that have these jobs. These are the people that are running these jobs. I don't understand how it works. In terms of how you do your business and how you can argue against that. You can't. It doesn't matter who's telling you, whether it's some guy who saw a couple of basketball games or someone that's a NBA lifer. Facts are facts. And the fact of the matter is LeBron James is needed, obviously, because you have a minimum amount of talent, but there are too many mistakes being made by guys like LeBron on this team. Too many mistakes that are not forced. If he was getting shut down or someone was, running him out of the gym, that's fine. You could say, well, guys, sorry. Someone like, let's say, Anthony Edwards is younger and faster and not as many miles on him, and you can't stop him. But that's not the case. LeBron James is making very, very bad decisions in every facet of the game in spurts during the game. Now, as far as KD not playing, I don't know why you'd be surprised. There is no depth in Phoenix either. They're just like us, except they have a better third player on their team, and Bradley Beal when he plays. They need KD. There's nothing else. It's KD, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. That's it.
Well, if that's the case, then.
And in Denver, it's really Jokic. That's it. Everyone else is just kind of coming up a little lame. Well, I'm sure it'll probably.
They just got Gordon back, though.
Gordon will help, but I think they should have been able to weather the storm without Gordon, with Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. But it might be one of those things where maybe there's just something going on behind the scenes that's kind of distracting their focus. I'd say you can probably look at teams like the Clippers and the Nuggets kind of in opposite ways in a way. I think the Clippers have played above their heads, and I think Denver has played under their heads. I'm still kind of waiting to see what happens with Golden State. I think they're in a little bit in that area where they're playing maybe above their heads, or maybe they're just talented enough.
We talked about that, Legend and I, and people on the audio, you'll hear it next, Joe. You're right on that one, because they have seen a losing streak. At the same time, The Lakers saw their losing streak. The Golden State has seen their winning ways where they were number 2 in the Western Conference and they've fallen on harder times. So much so, Joe, I think you'll like this. I don't know if you heard, Draymond Green is now coming off the bench. Jonathan Kuminga got reinstalled in the starting lineup. Draymond Green is now a bench player.
Yeah, you got to do whatever you can do to put a spark in this thing. Lakers did the same thing by putting Austin on the bench or D'Lo on the bench, whatever. The this is the way of the NBA right now, and I think it's going to get more and more like that, where you just don't have enough. Denver lost a lot of depth the last year or so because a lot of these owners don't want to pay that tax. So it is working. It is working already in that they want to diversify the talent pool in the NBA. The problem, though, is I've noticed more injuries, unless I'm wrong, all around the country than I think I've ever seen. What happened this offseason where everyone is injured?
It's been pretty hard. Yeah, a lot of
So
injuries.
what is seriously? It reminds me of the Dodgers pitching staff this last year. What the hell are these guys doing? Not one, not two, not three, six. You do some investigating, you find out maybe when you combine what's happened in the last few years from that standpoint, you start kind of putting things together. I haven't been able to put anything together yet because a lot of these guys didn't play that much this summer, so I can't really blame it on that. Jokic didn't really play that much, did he?
No,
What?
not a whole lot. I think
No.
he was his. Yeah, I mean, they did win the bronze, but he didn't play a lot until at the end of it, the tail end. Like in the bronze medal game and whatnot. He played a lot there, but leading up to it, no, he didn't.
And then you look at him, and he looks like he's as fresh as a donut, as
Yeah,
a 5 a.m. donut. He's just on his way to probably winning his 4th MVP. The Luca didn't play much, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Going back to what I was saying about the pitching, there's things that have built up in baseball where they eliminated any substance to be in your hand, essentially to make the ball drier. They don't want any kind of anything, any kind of Vaseline, any kind of pine tar, whatever that people could use to kind of grip the ball. Then you have pitch count. Then you have the fact that spin rates are the only way to have a chance at beating a batter that's going to know exactly where you're throwing the ball after 3 at bats. So you combine all those things, and these arms are getting taxed. What are they doing in the NBA that they're getting so taxed? Is the pace different? We talked about this. I remember Sean said it's only gone up one more possession since the 90s. So what is it?
and the Lakers talking about pace. Remember, they were one of the top 5 teams in the NBA last season and previous seasons. They were some of the top leaders in pace. They're now on the bottom half of NBA in pace, Joe. So they have, under JJ Redick, have intentionally slowed down. You don't see as many fast break options for the Lakers. You don't see as much of an emphasis on getting the ball fast out there. You just see more of like he wants to set it up, run plays. But we do still see a tendency for them to rely on the ISO a little bit too much. We do see them, like you said, talking about with JJ running plays more often, but at the cost of being at a higher pace for the Lakers.
The cost of the higher pace is getting LeBron more tired during a 48-minute game, and then having him get tired when you're playing 4 games in 5 nights. Well, actually, they don't do that anymore. 3 games in 5 nights, something like that.
Something like that. That's better.
Yeah, this team isn't constructed to deal with that kind of, and that the talent isn't smart enough. Not in terms of intelligence, it's not smart enough to run correctly like that. Anyways, there takes a talent and an intelligence to run consistently. It's both. It's not just one. It's both. You got to be able to make the shots. You got to be able to get to the basket. You got to know angles. You got to know when to pass right at the last minute before a defender commits. These are all things that I don't believe the Lakers have the talent pool to handle.
Once again, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just not. I why wouldn't they do it if that would be a huge remedy? We saw it work in 2020.
Yeah.
We know they could we knew it was possible then because it seemed like guys like KCP, guys like Caruso, guys like to some degree Kyle Kuzma, they were able to run those things. And LeBron was a point guard, won the assist title that year. AD playing the trailer did pretty well there, but we're talking almost 5 years difference. That's a lot of that's reverse dog years in a lot of ways in the NBA. 5 years ago might as well have been, when LeBron was still in his prime. LeBron in his prime is, and you put him as a point guard. You finally put him in a position to distribute, and he's not needed as much as a scorer. Whew. Could you imagine if he had done that for 10 years? Might have won more titles that way. But he didn't have the talent to do that at that time. But the 2020 Laker team did. They had that talent. He had Anthony Davis. He had guys that could play defense and score. Or hit timely shots, I should say. I keep forgetting Rondo. I know that always cracks me up in my own head. Why do I always forget Rondo? Why do I always forget Rondo, considering Rondo turned into a sniper?
Yeah, that's the best he's shot ever in his life.
At the perfect time ever. Because I keep thinking, man, if Rondo had shot even half as good as he shot in 2020, in 2010, the Lakers would have had no shot at winning that title. Rondo didn't shoot at all in 2010 in the finals. So I always have a lot of appreciation for Rondo for taking his job seriously in the two best moments in Laker history.
Indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is a snack pack. It's Joe Soro, aka Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Also, Semblades with a Y.com that he owns. So if you're in the Southern California area and need your lawn transformed, and also other areas of your home transformed or business today, go ahead and hit up Semblades. And don't forget Corrupt, still waiting there, still on the way.
Corrupt is I think the industry, maybe not the major industry, but there are some publishers we've spoken to in the last couple of weeks that have given us hints that they want us to wait. But we've also talked to certain publishers that said, we know you are where you are, might as well start thinking about maybe just getting on when you guys release. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait this out a little bit longer, see what happens. I haven't gotten a call from my developer in a couple of days, which means something's brewing. Usually I get calls every day.
Mm-hmm.
So once I find out 100% that it's on, I will let everybody know. It will be done very, very soon. If we don't go on, it's actually good news, because that means somebody said, do not release. We will give you X amount of dollars and we will release this when we know we can get 1 million units sold. So either way, we're going to win. It's just a matter of now the industry, at least those who we're speaking with, are now really, really realizing that we are not joking. It happened really the last 3 weeks. We were releasing, and all of a sudden, here comes a flood of calls. Oh, congratulations. Well done. Good job. And of course, we laugh at that kind of stuff. We've built this cynical mindset of anytime someone calls us and compliments us, we're on the phone like this. Thank you. Oh, you're too kind. Oh, yes. It's been a fun ride and a very difficult one, but thank you so much. Thank you. That's exactly how it works. But
the thing is, though, in about 3 days, the video game world is going to have a ton of announcements, and with the video game awards, that's probably the biggest time of the year for companies as a whole, especially third-party companies, to announce a lot of stuff. They do from time to time on different showcases for some of those consoles, but this is when everybody gets together in a worldwide platform. So, would you be afraid that Corrupt might get, if it were to be announced as far as an actual date for arrival? Would you be afraid of it getting snowed under by a lot of other PC or console announcements?
No idea. Never done this before.
Okay.
And if my guys aren't worried, I don't know. I don't know if I should worry.
Okay.
This is the game. The game isn't just a game. It's a franchise. It's a the way we've put together this entity is you have an opportunity to understand that there's a story behind this. The story is likely going to be more intriguing than the video game. It's going to be something you can sink your teeth in for a very, very long time.
Okay.
And to me, that's the appealing part of this is the story, the characters. People are going to want to know who the characters are, where they came from, why they are the way they are. And that I believe will be the driving force of a 30, 40-year franchise. That's ultimately why I got involved, because that's something that I just thought was cool to be involved in. And I think
So
it's
with
the right time. I think it's the right time to have that. I'm not saying we're going to be Marvel, but there is
Mhm.
some. Look at Invincible. Look at The Boys. There's a story there between those two franchises, and at the height of when Marvel was doing its thing. I think that I think in combination of people want to hear and watch good stories. At the same time, you're going to have something that's a little bit bigger even than those two if it gets the right machine behind it.
Looky here. And it's not at the end of the show, Joe. It is Robert Wheeler. He says, Joe, do you think the Lakers have a higher potential offensive ceiling this year versus last year with the addition of Dalton and a new coach and JJ who knows how shooters think and get into the rhythm? He has struggled as of late, so even with the starting lineup and also the fact he's getting 20, 25, close to 30 minutes a game. He has been hit. He's hit that rookie wall, so to speak, but Robert Wheeler, another great question from him right there, Joe.
Well, I'm going to give you guys a particular scenario on what I've seen recently, most of the year, but definitely recently. Have you guys noticed the Lakers have actually ran pretty good offense the first 2 3 minutes of a game, and what's happened is it's generally met with missed open shots, and that tells you everything. That tells you a lot about the team. It tells you that they're not shot makers. Doesn't matter if it's a rookie that can shoot or someone that's been playing for a few years and built up maybe some confidence. You don't see these great offensive schemes in those moments, open shot, make. You don't see them come out the gate with any kind of, man, they're out 15-4. And they should be out 15-4 when they get those wide open shots because they're running a crisp offense. LeBron's a little fresher in the beginning of the game, right? AD, and you're in that. You're not tired in the third quarter. That part is also very important. The beginning of the game, how much pressure that takes off of your team when you can go out and make shots and give your team also a psychological lift and being able to, oh, good. Connect is making his shots. Reeves is making his open shots. Rui's hitting his mid range. LeBron can get to the basket and make the layups. Those things make a difference even at the beginning of the games. They don't do that. To me, that's a very big sign of that's a difference between teams that I've seen in the past, Lakers or not, where you know that they're really good at what they do. They take advantage of those moments. The Lakers do not do that. I have no memory of them really doing that well at the beginning of games so far, 24 games in.
So with that, the Lakers again do not play until Friday. The Lakers do get some time off. Hopefully, they will put it to good use, practicing, and then also getting LeBron and AD some much needed rest. 805 says, and thank you again, 805, for becoming a member. Truly appreciated. AD will get eaten up again and again by Joker and Murray without clutch LeBron in the last 2 minutes. That's something I wanted to ask you because we had the other day, and I know I was going to answer Sharon's comments on it because she kind of disagreed with you on the as far as when LeBron and AD they had some faux pas down the stretch, had some really good games against Atlanta, but just again fell just short. A lot of the blame and the finger pointing went to those two guys, but a lot of the compliments should go there as well. They wouldn't have been in that situation if those two didn't have fantastic games in the first place. So I ask you, my friend, seeing 805's comments right there, what can we do about better execution down the stretch? Is that something maybe the coach could interject him more into? Because, often, the right coach making the right plays for the team at the right time often helps win games a lot more than lose them.
No, they're not good shot makers. Even AD, when he gets into the paint, does a little 4 or 5 foot floater. He consistently misses that shot. Where he's really good is when he's under the basket, he gets a rebound, he's able to put it back. I'd say that's probably his best move, down and down in the basket. Anything else is a crossing of the fingers. Can he make that elbow jump shot, which he makes them every now and then, but it's not on a consistent basis. Getting into the paint when you're 4 or 5 feet away and he can't make that little bunny drop, that kind of kills. It kills so much because as soon as the opposing team gets the rebound, now AD is not in any position to get back on defense and help you. If they get out and start running and all that, and then you have a LeBron James who's not going to really be able to run back and forth like he used to, you're putting now the pressure on guys like D'Lo, Reeves, Connect, guys that are not known for their defense. It's so many little things. This game is about every sport is about the detail. Kobe made a ESPN show on that. The details. It's about the details. It's about the fine little things that you do to make sure that you are equipped to understand every situation you get into. And if you get to something new, you then go back after the game and go, "Oh, I didn't prepare for that one. I'm going to prepare now for what that is in the future." And this goes for any business, any job, anything. The details matter. The details, like for example, in my business, never say you're going to be there at 7 o'clock. Always say 7 to 9. Always. You give yourself that window. You become more professional that way in case you show up at 8 o'clock. Sometimes it's not about you being, it's not, has nothing to do with you wanting to be late. Sometimes something busts and you got to fix it. Sometimes somebody calls and says, "Honey, I need you to take so and so to school. I can't make it. I'm stuck at whatever. Cool." That you give yourself that window, and your client understands that you are available between 7 and 9. So imagine in basketball, when are you available during a specific sequence in a game? Same situation. It's just obviously sports. There isn't a lot of detail. Maybe JJ Riddick has that, but unfortunately he doesn't have the right players that kind of work like he does, which is always the case. Coaches run themselves ragged trying to bridge those little gaps. NBA, I'd say it's the hardest one in the NBA because it's so individualized. In football, it's a necessity for an offensive line to be cohesive because if one is out of line, it's obvious that that player that's on that side of that player is going to wreak havoc and hurt your quarterback. So you can't not be part of the details there. Baseball, somewhat individualized as well. However, mistakes there can be very obvious. In basketball, it's not obvious unless you really pay attention. A lot of people aren't paying attention to Max Christie maybe going in instead of out on a fast break. If you watch a fast break and you see someone going, why are you going that way? I've done that before. I've done that before. more often than not, the general audience is looking at the ball. They're not paying attention to Max as a trailer or whatever.
That's so funny because I talked about him earlier. Darren, good to have you here. that that LeBron hate flows through every comment that he makes. Yeah, LeBron is just not his
Who's
individual.
not LeBron? What?
Darren,
Oh, Darren doesn't like LeBron.
yeah, he's been saying it for quite some time now. I'll just leave it at that. And obviously, he should be respected for his opinion on that. But it's kind of funny because there's so many people on the other end of what Darren is feeling in regards to him still even to this day. Because I got to answer Sharon's comments and whatnot is because she is supporting LeBron and Darren is quite the opposite. So we'll see. But let's just say in the days they're going to hopefully work on some things, make some tweaks as they head over to Minnesota on Friday. Is there a sneaky suspicion that after the way that D'Angelo has been playing as of late, if Austin comes back, we will see the old lineup return as far as the original one, the one that was so vaunted at the beginning of the season, the one that won so many games last year, the one that JJ was talking about, the one he was going to go with. Do you think when they go into Minnesota that we're going to see D'Lo and Austin once again in the starting lineup?
Sure. I don't know if it makes a difference. These
Okay.
guys don't make shots. They're not really helping the team. D'Lo's job is to D'Lo's job is to make shots when he's open. That's really ultimately his primary. Austin can control ball, get to the paint, draw a foul, make baskets, and make shots. Defense, try your best, but that's it. If those guys aren't doing those two things, then you're not likely going to. It's not going to matter whether they're coming off the bench doing it or whether they're starting. There's not enough. It's just not enough. And looking at their schedule, there's some discussion about, well, I don't know why this is starting. Well, Denver's not starting. I don't give a shit about Denver. Denver has the MVP. Denver has a almost superstar guard. Denver has a really, really, really good small forward, and they have a really good fourth guy on that team. Whatever's going on over there right now, I don't think has anything to do with their talent. I think there's something going on in terms of their chemistry that I would bank on that will get solved at some point here, unless there's a major injury.
Well, that's something that Legend spoke about, as hopefully audio listeners will listen on the back end. But it was on earlier today, and he spoke about his live observations of the Atlanta game and how LeBron seemed a little bit distant from his teammates during the game.
And when you hear things like that, it starts to trigger the noise that you've heard about LeBron in LA, in Cleveland, in Miami, and Cleveland the first time. LeBron is by far, and it's easy for us to say this because he is a Laker. He is the most exhausting superstar I've ever watched, ever, in any sport. And Barry Bonds was pretty bad. Barry Bonds was pretty bad. He was exhausting. Every other week, it's something about his sofa in his locker room or picking fights with Jeff Kent, which, by the way, I didn't fault him for that. He was, Jeff Kent bothered me too. One of the few guys that I couldn't stand either. Didn't like him on the Dodgers either, even though he was a hometown guy. That I would say that's the kind of description I have of LeBron James, is that Barry Bonds was kind of the first superstar that I'd seen where I'm just like, dude, like really, come on. Shaq had a little bit of obnoxious kind of the tone about him too with Kobe, but the thing was they were winning. So maybe winning sometimes just kind of masks things. Imagine two irritable guys, but they're winning still. They're not just winning, they're destroying people. So you're able to kind of get away from it a little, especially in '01. Like '01 was really pissing me off, man. I remember I was like, dude. can you guys just stop being a bunch of bitches and just play basketball? Seriously, whose team is it? We had never heard whose team was it before then. No one said, hey, it's Michael Jordan's team. Oh, it's Magic's team. Oh, it's Kareem's team. Oh, it's Larry Bird. Who cares? It's basketball. If Jordan goes on the court 1-on-5, he gets smoked in every game. So what is your argument there? It's a team game, and the Lakers, you don't look at the Kobe Shaq pairing as a detriment. You look at it as one of the greatest mergers of talent in the history of the NBA. And there's a stamp that it's true. How many guys three-peat in their run? How many?
Not many.
Okay. Derek Jeter and the Mariano Rivera's, Kobe Shaq, Michael Jordan, Pippen. Very rare, guys. Even as good as Golden State were, they couldn't three-peat. But then again, that was a kind of unfortunate situation where they got injured in 2019. Otherwise, they would have. But anyways, the thing with LeBron is he's not only exhausting and zaps every piece of resource, mental resource. I have a phrase I use is mental resource. You exhaust so much from your thoughts of this guy. I can only imagine how much these guys have to endure actually working for this guy or having to cater to him. It's exhausting. And Dan Gilbert, I'm sure if he wasn't, I don't know how he is health wise. I know he had a stroke a few years back and he's probably still kind of affected by that. But I remember distinctively when he left the second time to come to LA, I had read articles where Dan Gilbert said, I have my team back. This is a guy who just gave him a title a couple years earlier and had still gone to the finals the whole time. Imagine that. You have a guy that's making Cleveland relevant. Imagine that. Cleveland Cavaliers. Who gave a shit about the Cleveland Cavaliers ever? Yet here's the owner saying, God, I'm kind of happy that this guy's gone. That's how bad he was in Cleveland the second time at that point. And it gets tiring. It's exhausting. And we're not even involved in it. We're just spectators. Imagine that. And he's nothing. I don't relate to LeBron James in any way other than the supporting of him being a Laker. His personality is different than what I'm used to. His maturity is different. I mean, I can be immature, but I'm tactical about it. I'm trying to make I do that with my kids and my people around my circles. But when it's time to, put my head down, it's all business. So it's hard. It's hard. And then when you're losing, it adds more to the fact that, this is not good. And LeBron, there's nothing as you can have the biggest LeBron supporter out there. And I know there are millions and millions out there. LeBron being in his 22nd season, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say this about Shaq. I go, they left some things on the table. See, Kobe didn't leave anything on the table. Kobe wrung that towel for everything it was worth. Everything. Shaq left some things on the table. Shaq should have won more, but he didn't care enough during the year. And we were okay with it because he always showed up when it mattered. But for him individually, there is no reason why Shaquille O'Neal should not have been the greatest center in NBA history. He had everything right there for him. But he tended to kind of just use his talent, which is very, very it's the norm for a lot of these guys. They just use the talent. Tracy McGrady, perfect example. Tracy McGrady is what Kobe would have been without his work ethic. He would have been this guy that was out of this world, talented, amazing, scoring titles, all that. But as soon as his athleticism started to draw back, as soon as his body started to break down a little bit, he went to shit. He went to toast. And again, how do you even compare somebody like Tracy McGrady to Kobe anyways? Even comparing them when they were in their primes. Tracy McGrady never won a playoff series as an integral part of a team. The only time he got out of the first round was the 2013 when he was sitting the bench the entire time with the San Antonio Spurs. So the imagination can take you places because you have a fandom, you have a hope, you have a liking, sure, but you have to teach yourself to get out of that and focus on what is. You can't put Tracy McGrady anywhere near Kobe Bryant. You have a better shot at saying AI and Kobe than Tracy McGrady and Kobe. There are a lot of talented guys. A lot of talented guys. Physically, size, all that. But the details, the small things, who's doing those things? Those are the ones usually that'll separate themselves. As far as LeBron James is concerned, from a basketball standpoint, he's done pretty well keeping himself healthy and doing the little things there. However, the little things where he screwed up in during his career is being selfish at the wrong time. Man is one of the most selfish athletes I've ever seen in my life. And he does it in a very passive aggressive way, which absolutely drives me nuts. Shaq was a selfish, loud, selfish guy. So you kind of like, you know how if you know your enemy kind of tells you who they are.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, I'll have a little bit more, I don't know if respect is the right word in those cases. They're a piece of garbage. No one's a piece of garbage in this story. So I'm going to say, I respect you if you actually are upfront about the fact that you do want what you want. You are selfish about it. But what LeBron does that really pisses me off is he acts like he's not selfish when he is. I don't like people that do that shit because those are the ones that usually talk shit behind your back. They usually do things behind your back at the detriment of whatever progress you need. And that's just what it is. That's who he is. He has to be like that whole school that he started. He got on there and put on those glasses and that suit, making himself look like he was smarter than really is. The guy can't put a sentence together sometimes, yet I have to imagine this guy knows how to build a school. Steve Jobs got shit for that too, by the way. It wasn't just LeBron James. Like, you come out there and you're showing your iPads and iPods and all that. And I'm like, Bill Burr had talked about this in one of his skits. He's like, well, where are the guys that built this shit? Why aren't you putting those guys up there, right? Didn't they help you? No, it was Steve Jobs yelling at everybody to do things, right? Yeah, maybe Elon Musk is doing a little bit of that now, right?
Something like that. Darren said there was a good reason, Joe. He couldn't shoot that well. I'm assuming talking about LeBron James. Basketball players have skills, not just football, that knock people out of the way.
He was shooting well at the beginning of the year. He shot well last year.
Yeah.
I've been surprised. I don't mind if LeBron shoots, but the problem is he's shooting at horrible times in the game. And not it's not the shot, it's so much, it's why are you shooting from there?
Oh, Darren said Shaq. He meant Shaq. Sorry, when you were talking about Shaq being the best center, greatest center of all time.
Yeah, Shaq.
He was relating it to as far as shooting well. Sorry, Darren.
Shaq should have been what Jokic is right now, with more power. He should be winning. Shaq should have been on his way to win 4 MVPs. He should have been the guy that took the NBA to a level that it was on with Michael Jordan retiring. Shaq should have been the guy after Michael retired in '98. That it should have been his league for about. In a lot of ways, it was. But it should have been MVP-like. And the reason why he didn't win MVPs, besides the fact that I think some of these voters were pieces of shit, but he wasn't playing 75 games a year. He was playing 68, 67. So No one gave him any appreciation for that. There at that time, of course, they said, "Oh, you're not playing enough for you to be an MVP." But
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there for the Kobe Shaq thing in the locker rooms and all that, and all this stuff before Kobe passed away. All the stuff they yap about. Shaq has a very, very diluted vision of the past. I don't believe Shaq half the time he talks. I can tell he's full of shit. But of course he's funny about it, so you kind of laugh about it. But the fact that he would say things, oh, we were doing that for marketing. I'm like, well, you didn't fucking do that shit for marketing. Don't lie. Okay. You hated Kobe. And Kobe hated you. Kobe didn't like you because you were lazy, and you didn't like Kobe because Kobe was an asshole. It had nothing to do with basketball. It was a personality clash. It's easy to say, oh, he was worried about Kobe being the number one guy. Maybe he did when Penny was there. Maybe, but I really, really believe that it had nothing to do with that when it was Kobe and Shaq. It was just that Kobe was a dick. You know how I know? Because Phil Jackson didn't like Kobe either. And I like Phil Jackson. I love Phil Jackson, except for that stupid book he made after the '04 season. I thought that was kind of breaking some man codes on that. I wasn't very happy with Phil doing that, but he was upset. Trying to make money off of the situation, and that seems to be what a lot of people's intent are these days, to justify things. Well, trying to sell a book. Pippen was selling his book and ended up telling the whole world that he was better than Michael. Okay, Scotty. Okay, migraine Scotty in Game 7, 1990. Thank you for that. And I would have not faulted Pippen for kind of going out of character in that, considering the circumstances. We talked about this, I think, on a couple shows. The fact that his ex-wife was dating Michael's son. You all know I got pretty upset about that. I thought that was disgusting. I thought that was probably one of the more disgusting things that you can see in that situation. And of course, at some point, luckily at that point, things changed. But I just loathe those things so much. I just think it's disgusting. But going back to the Lakers of 2024 and 2025, we're coming up on New Year's here in about what, 3 weeks.
Yep.
And short answer, folks, on everything. Again, I'm gonna analyze. We're gonna analyze the games and try to see what happens here as things develop. But the more I look at the schedule the last few weeks, the more I realize that the Lakers have, and Sean had pointed this out, and he said it perfectly. He said the Lakers are getting their ass kicked by fully arsenal teams, meaning their main guys are playing. They're getting beat by those guys, and then they're squeaking away at the bad teams.
Yes, they are.
So let me reiterate that. So Portland has nothing, right? And yeah, you had control of that game pretty much the entire way until the end when you decided to put in the second graders for some weird reason. And then those previous 3 games, you had the Timberwolves, the Heat, and the Hawks, and all their top guys played. Jazz, you beat the Jazz before then you got your ass whooped by the Thunder, but it was a close game until the end. And I say ass whooped because they always seem to quit those last 2 minutes once they realize that they're not going to win. Then the Spurs was a win, and then they lost 3 in a row against the Suns, Nuggets, and the Magic. That's who they are. This last 10 games is really who the Lakers are going to be this year. They're going to lose to the good teams. They might squeak away one every now and then they're going to beat the bad teams and then lose maybe one to them every now and then. That's a 500 mediocre team.
Sports Baby, who's doing a great job bonding for today. It is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. He says, Joe, what's going to happen if LeBron signs the contract or takes the 1 more year? Or what I propose, he still might ponder another 1-1 this summer?
I would be shocked if he does another one-on-one. I would be shocked if he doesn't retire at the end of 2026.
Okay.
And I do believe that he will play another year because LeBron loves him some LeBron. And there is not a chance in hell he is not going to be on a tour where he gets adoration, admiration, adulation, congratulations. There's, if he retires like Tim Duncan at the end of the year, whew, talk about turning over a new leaf.
You
I'd
said
have a
you have
lot.
big respect for him.
I'd rather a lot of. I'd have a lot of respect for him. I really would. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for getting this. Thank you for not wasting our time for another year. If he decides to play for to the 26th season, you will see the exact same thing that's going on right now, if not worse. It'll be a wasted year again.
Well, we'll see if it'll be another wasted year with the Lakers again, finishing the year coming up with the next few games, but it'll have to start off with on Friday, Minnesota. Of course, we'll cover it for you right here, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. We still got some great shows coming up along the way, including John Costa, who says he will be here on Wednesday. He had to back out of today, but he says he'll be here on Wednesday. And I'm sure Joe and I will sprinkle in some stuff here on Tuesday and Thursday to keep you going. Actually, on Thursday, I'm hoping that I'll get a conversation going with L. Rob. It'll be a little bit earlier. So looking forward to that. So if that's the case, Joe and I will definitely try to do something on Tuesday to fill up your Tuesday for you. But my friend, really great stuff today that you provided. Again, I'm not trying to give this team a pass. Obviously, in its shape that it's in, the lack of depth, the inconsistent play from virtually everyone everyone has had their ups and downs this season so far for the Lakers. It's kind of rough and it's kind of tough to see how the Lakers will. It's tough to gauge, but we had said, Joe, 9th, 10th, 11th. You, me, Jamie, Stone, I think some others as well. We're picking them in that mix right around 500. And what do you know? After 24 games, they're 13-11 in 8th place, right around 500. You think it'll be this way all year long for the Lakers? Ups and downs like we're talking about? Will they continue?
I have them slated to win 43 games.
Okay, I had them 44, I think. Or
I think it's
45.
43. 43 or 44. I have to look back. Yeah, it's yeah, it's just I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. They could get the 10th seed. I have them at 11. You're looking at Portland, Utah, and New Orleans are likely not going to do anything this year. Sacramento, San Antonio, I'd say Sacramento might. I think Sacramento's going to make a transact. They're going to do something to probably trade someone again, or they're going to fire Mike Brown. I don't know. Something over there.
I'm going to say this out loud, Joe. If they lose both games to the Lakers, if they go in there next week and they sweep Sacramento, he's going to be on the hot seat. I think he'll be like, it'll be burning up on that hot seat for Mike Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. Will the Spurs continue to play 500 ball, or will they?
That's a big improvement though for them.
Mm-hmm. Are they going to get better during the year? Because that 10, 11, 12 spot is probably going to stay like that. It's going to stay where they're probably a game or so behind each other. It's going to be a 12 team race to get to the top 10.
805. We actually did have one. We do have one every now and then. As far as a Vanderbilt, really big proponent of Vanderbilt, thinking that he is a big key to what's missing with the Lakers. I think we had one 2 days ago. 805 that was really adamant about that. I'm sure there's some still in the chat that are strong on Vanderbilt. But as you know, Joe, along with the feet, that he had both feet surgically done, he has his knee issues now, water fluid built up in the knee. So now he is out until January. So whatever rehab they're doing obviously did not go well. Uh, this does not bode well. This is another Gabe Vincent situation like last year where you probably can't count on him for the entire season. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but this does not look good.
I've never counted on Vanderbilt. He's not been a favorite of mine in any way. He
Mhm.
is a useless player on the Lakers roster, in my opinion. Oh no, not opinion, fact.
So no time do you think he was giving even in the stretch
Never been
runs,
impressed
the
with this game.
playoffs?
Never been impressed with this game.
Okay.
And I'm with Tim Conley. Every time he went anywhere, he seemed to trade Vanderbilt. He's an irritation. It's worse when you know someone has talent and can't play. I'd rather you suck ass at the beginning than play well, have this potential at your side, and yet you're still not available for whatever reason. It's being kind of mean in the sense of like he can't, someone could come back and say, well, Joe, it's not like he wanted to be injured. No, he doesn't want to be injured, but I don't want him to be injured either. But if he's not playing, he's useless. It doesn't matter if it's nice or mean or anyways. If you can't play in the NBA, you're useless. What are you there for? You're collecting free money. That's it.
Darren, he says Cam has made some threes this year. He's shooting 43% from three. But the only problem is, Darren, he's in there sometimes for stretches of 15 to 20 minutes a game and doesn't take a shot. He has many donuts already this season. He's actually averaging less than Gabe Vincent. Gabe is averaging a whopping 3.8. Cam is averaging a whopping 3.5. So he is making shots when he gets them or when he wants to take them. Sometimes, Joe, it's about the offense maybe coming to you and you getting the opportunities, and sometimes it's about you seizing the opportunities and taking those shots as well.
I don't know how you can rely on somebody who's scoring 5 points a game.
He's not. There's 3.5.
Three, whatever. Doesn't matter. He's shooting less. He's averaging 5.7 points a game.
And Darren, there is a
this is
reason.
a guard. This is a guard in today's
It
NBA.
well, it could be a possibility. In the past, he was one that was aggressive with the shot. Now, this is a guy that when I see him get the ball in his hands, he doesn't want to take the shot.
No, that he doesn't have the talent to do it. Doesn't have the confidence. Doesn't have the talent to continue to make shots or attempt shots. The deadheads who think that, well, this person got 40 shots to I've said this before. They got 40 shots to score 50 points. Yeah, go try and make a shot in the NBA. See how easy it is. Go. There are NBA players, if you can call them that can't get the shot off more than 5 to 7 times a game.
And maybe it is up here as far as him not wanting to take the shot. Again, he shot at a good percentage this year. On those rare times he takes a shot, but there's so many donuts that tell the story. And he's out there for 15, 20, 25 minutes sometimes with very minimal results. You got to ask yourself, how much is it on the coaching? How much is it out there on the plays? How much is it on the player himself for wanting to go ahead and step up? I mean, I know we are been hard on recent days on Dalton, but you still see him taking the shots. You still see him when he gets the ball wanting to go ahead and score the basketball. So I don't know what's going on with Cam. 805 says that's my point. Cam is basically Vando, in my opinion. The thing is, though, with Cam and Gabe and Vando, to an extent, when he comes back or if he comes back, those defenders, those are our best defenders, Joe, especially Cam and Gabe, and they're not consistently stopping the other team's best players when they're guarding them. They're not consistently slowing them down. We saw Tyler Hero light them both up in Miami. We saw Trey Young be Trey Young right on them. If you're going to be a defensive only person, fine. Tony Allen was in the league, Joe, for quite a stretch, and he didn't have very much of an offensive game. Bruce Bowen, there's others. We can go on and on about defense specialists. But the thing is, there were statistical numbers that supported whoever they played against. They didn't have as good of a game as when they were playing against other people. I don't see that enough with the Lakers because the Lakers, again, they have one of the worst defenses in the entire NBA, and Cam and Gabe are not really doing enough to stop for that from happening.
You can't compare any player in today's game, today as in the last few years, to a Tony Allen or to a Bruce Bowen or to a Shane Battier. Those days are gone. Those specialists are gone. Everyone wants to go into nostalgia with Jared Vanderbilt.
No, but there's still defenders in this league, Joe, that do statistically play defense at a high level. Well, like Caruso. The numbers back up Caruso's numbers playing perimeter defense.
Mm-hmm. However, the thing that made Caruso valuable, there are two other things. Amazing chemistry. He was able to infuse himself in any situation and not be a detriment in any way. The other is timely shooting, which is what Bruce Bowen and Shane Battier and Tony Allen, to an extent, were as well. They were those kind of players even back then, but it's more important even now. If you don't believe me, there's a reason why the Celtics were able to win last year when they traded Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart wasn't making shots in those big games. Good on defense, but wouldn't make those shots, and that was the difference between him and Drew Holiday.
Darren says, Joe, there was a reason no specialist became famous. Name him. It's a revelation, Kobe.
I'm not going to argue against that.
Kobe stopper. Watch out. Ruben Patterson. There you go.
I never heard a stopper in my life until Kobe came to the league.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it's the Kobe stoppers were world famous. There was a few that were dubbed Kobe stoppers. Tayshaun Prince was another. There was obviously
Christie,
James Posey, not so much, but he was known to guard Kobe sometimes. Tony Allen, I don't know if they ever called him a Kobe stopper.
What about Doug Christie?
Doug Christie, not.
They tried to put him on.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say. I think the most famous one was the one that coined the term.
Which player again for Kobe was his toughest? I know he said that
it was his ex-teammate, played in Portland.
Yes,
and it was actually Sean Kemp.
Patterson.
Patterson, Ruben Patterson. That actually coined the Kobe stopper. Sean Kemp doesn't get enough credit for that. He's the one that started the Kobe stopper thing. Unless someone else said it, and I was maybe not in the know at the time. Media wise, I mean, I was watching sports stuff pretty religiously back then, so I'd be surprised. Darren, AK Karolika was never really known as a Kobe. I don't even know if he played some defense on Kobe, but I don't.
Not enough because he was bigger.
Yeah, he was. There's certain guys. I think the guys that were able to cover Kobe and cause him issues were either dogs like a Tony Allen or someone like a Tayshaun Prince. And Karolika might have been long, but he wasn't cerebral like Tayshaun Prince. I think he made a lot of mistakes guarding. He wasn't. I don't know. He never. I never saw him as a threat when he was when the Lakers would play Utah.
Last thing I wanted to mention before we head on out, Xbox says we should discuss Nikola Jokic's comments over paid players that just don't care. He was very forceful. That wouldn't you know, Joe? That came on the heels of him scoring 56 against the Washington Wizards and Jonas Valanciunas, by the way, and they lost. It's the first time in 17 games, I think, for Washington. So he was essentially pissed off at his teammates for not giving the same effort. And wouldn't you know, the next game they play, they won and they got a much better effort. Gordon came back, got a much better, I guess, shooting game from MPJ, and overall they got the victory. But your comments on from as far as what you heard or what you believe Jokic was trying to get through when he made those comments, because he's usually very easygoing. He's usually very, just like, I'm going to go ahead and do my thing. I'm going to help my guys win, but I'm usually not going to go ahead and talk smack or anything like that. This was a little bit out of character for him on a U.S. basis. Maybe back home, he's a trash talker deluxe. I know he's a trash talker at times, but not to this extent. He was trash talking his own teammates, and obviously, for in the short term, it worked.
Every time a team wins a championship, it's automatic, especially if they're a little young. It's right away, oh, they're going to start a dynasty, which is such a stupid, ignorant comment. Folks, some people are satisfied with just one. And if indeed this team isn't playing hard, based off what, if anybody's going to know, it's going to be Jokic. It makes sense. It makes sense that once people win the title, they get their money. All of a sudden, they start to cool. They're not hungry as much, and that's what happened, right?
Yes.
Gordon got his money. Jamal got his money. Porter got his money a little early, but I'm just saying, not everybody's about the dynasty. They just, I got one. Cool. I'm the man. I got paid and I got one at the same time. My career is solidified.
Darren says,
it's a fine line between obsessive and just how you are. Are we Laker fans? We don't have a physical play in this. We have to be spectators. But you people have stuff in their own lives where they can live the way they think in terms of sports.
yeah, Darren, I don't know who's saying that, but I have heard that mentioned before in the past. But people are speaking out like Joker is a stat patter. There's a difference. There's empty calories, empty stats that we talk about for certain players. But as Joe, he's in the results business. We've seen a lot of results from Jokic. I know we're not Denver Nuggets fans, but you can't appreciate the fact that he has been MVP on 3 occasions. If his team were better, Joe, it would probably be a 4th. I don't know at this point. We'll see. But yeah, stat padding and Jokic, I don't think, as you see with the results, including a championship, you could put those two together.
Stat patter. What makes you think that Jokic is a stat patter? I want to know.
No, he says he did. It's not him personally. He said people are speaking out like Joker is a stat patter.
Right. I'm trying to figure out where their logic in that is. I've watched Jokic play. Where is he stat padding? Every time I see him play, he's making the right plays. He's making the right pass. He's hitting open shots. He's at the elbow, looking around. Do I make a shot here? Do I commit? What exactly? You can't just sit there with your thumb, where, and just say something. Stat pad where? Explain yourself. I've watched Jokic play for the last 2 years. I have not seen him. I haven't seen him shoot a bad shot yet. Just tell me where he's padding. Kobe stat padded. Kobe shot a lot of bad shots. A lot. But you dealt with it because it was Kobe and he did everything else very well. I have never seen Jokic shoot when he shouldn't shoot. not pass when he shouldn't pass. So I gotta have more substance there, folks. As much as I can't stand people putting words in my mouth, I can't stand when somebody talks out their ass when something's not happening. Seriously, that's a stupid comment. Whoever said it.
They do build that. I mean, Malone built that offense around Jokic. It's predicated everything that they do off of him. I mean, that's not as common in the days modern. The NBA with the three and run and gun and 3-pointers galore. This is all predicated off of the decisions that Jokic makes in the offense show.
Is it a Joel Embiid fan that's trying to marginalize Jokic?
Well, Joel has got nothing really to talk about right now, although he did come back and score 30 plus yesterday, I believe. First time that they've been together for more than 6 minutes all season.
Mm-hmm.
The big three in Philadelphia.
Everyone, it's pretty obvious what everyone is in this league. After a while, that's the beautiful thing about basketball is it doesn't take long to see who players are. It's the easiest game to analyze in terms of an individual basketball player. There are some that surprise. There are some that will end up surprising. Yes, both good and bad. Bad, we don't talk about a lot. Darren Williams is still a mystery to me. I still have not been able to find out what happened to Darren Williams. He was on his way to be a Hall of Fame player. He was killing CP3 the first 6 years in his career. What happened to Darren Williams? I still don't know. Wasn't an injury, wasn't any of that. It was just he had a fight with Jerry Sloan. Something happened there, and after that, he was never the same. What did Jerry Sloan find out? Anyways, I look. Jokic and the Denver Nuggets is the residual of what the NBA is starting to build. This isn't something. This is even more angst towards this system that these guys all agreed to this without even giving it a fight. Because somehow Adam Silver might have convinced these guys we can't be in a lockout if we can't make more money with this $70 billion deal if we're in a lockout. That's the only reason why these guys didn't argue or decide to do a lockout or go into more negotiations. They agreed to the deal right away. And this is what happens when you put money in front of logic. It ends up catching up to you down the road but these guys don't care maybe. They're like, I don't give a shit. I want to, the owner might be like, Kroenke might be like, I want a title in Denver. I want a title with the Rams. Doesn't he own one of the soccer teams too? He owns
Yes.
the Avs. They won a title recently. So, maybe I'm an idealist by a fault. Maybe people don't give a shit. I mean, look at baseball. Baseball's sitting there whining and crying about a team that was owned by Frank McCourt. It was owned by you want to talk about the epitome of gutter trash. It was Bud Selig allowed that asshole to own a professional baseball team. And we got saved. We as a Dodger fan base got saved without even knowing at the time how big it was to have whomever who took over eventually and has created, in my opinion, one of the greatest ownerships since Jerry Buss. This is Jerry Buss in LA for the Dodgers. Someone who was forward thinking. He was paying Magic $20 million for 20 years at that time when people were like, what the hell are you doing? He saw ahead of it. Dr. Buss was a genius. He was a numbers guy. He was an extremely bright man. And he understood people. Imagine being smart with the books and you understand people. You'll be able to own the world at that point because you're going to have the support of people eventually, and then you're going to have the knowledge that a lot of people don't have on how to operate. And But most of these owners don't think that way. They just want to make the money, right? Until it inconveniences them, or they just want to bitch and whine. Oh, you just signed so and so. Oh, we got to have a salary cap. Oh, we got to have this. Well, maybe you should have thought of that 20 years ago when you guys were negotiating the CBA. Why are you doing it now? Because everybody's in your face saying, hey, how come you're not signing these people? How come they are? Now they're all pissed off. Just like Dan Gilbert, just like that fucking hypocrite piece of shit, Mark Cuban, and that fuckface in San Antonio. Anytime he doesn't get what he wants, he starts bitching and whining and thinks it's like a joke. Like, I used to do the Sager jokes. After the first 2 or 3 times, I was like, ha ha. After that, I was just like, all right, dude, the joke is old. Just answer the fucking question and then go back to the sideline.
Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, though, we will see what happens. Again, the Lakers have several days off. Hopefully get some rest, hopefully work on some things, and hopefully they'll be ready to play in Minnesota on Friday, which will cover Lakers Fast Break on playback. Yes, you did, Serge. Yes, you did. Great to have everyone here. Thanks again. Truly appreciate it. We'll come back with a show tomorrow. We got you covered. Hopefully, John will not have those extenuating circumstances on Wednesday when he hosts on Wednesday, and then come back for Thursday with me and L Rob, and hopefully Joe will join us as well. But yeah, Tuesday we'll go ahead and see what we're gonna do. We might even throw an inside sports fantasy football for you on Tuesday. So talking about Josh Allen, yeah, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Looking good, my friend. Really looking good.
Yeah, it's going to be a gauntlet here. The NFL decided to put the Steelers' hardest part of the schedule where they're going to play 3 games in 11 days because they want to have a game on Christmas.
Of course.
Thank you, Roger Goodell, you greedy piece of shit. I hate that fucking guy so much. I can't stand that guy.
I will say this: compliments to you again for Pittsburgh's resurgence.
And I've been wrong about them.
I mean, you did not have high hopes. You did not have high hopes.
I thought it was going to be disaster. I really did, because quarterback play in the NFL is huge, and then I wasn't very particular. I wasn't happy with how. I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick's our star safety. He hasn't had an interception since 2022. Too many holes in a lot of areas, but they've managed to take advantage of the games they're supposed to win, and they still haven't really played. I don't know. The Ravens are good, but the division, I don't count the division games. Everybody plays well against division opponents, unless, of course, it's Cincinnati or Cleveland playing the Steelers. That's different. But it's just, this is going to be the hardest part of the schedule. They're going to play the Eagles, the Ravens in Baltimore, and then they're going to play the Kansas City Chiefs in 11 days. I mean, it's bad.
And the Chiefs have found
the Steelers always struggle against the Eagles.
And I'll just say this about the Chiefs, Joe. I mean, yes, they are 12-1, but my gosh, that's been a very tenuous 12-1. They've found a way to win, and that's what you got to do. So compliment them there. But yeah, this is the time. I mean, if you're a Kansas City fan, you're happy, but you're concerned, to say the least.
I'm gonna put out the word here for the opponents for the Kansas City Chiefs. These coaches that are going to play Kansas City need to start getting tape together and sending it to the league office. There was some bad holding calls again on that last drive before they get that doink.
Couldn't you call a holding call on each play?
Yes, but it's worse when it's blatant. And it costs you the game. It cost the Niners the game in the Super Bowl. They held Nick Bosa almost on every play. And it was really bad on some of those plays. This is stuff that you have to pay. These coaches have to start paying attention to this. It's there. I'm watching it and it's happening. I don't dislike Kansas City either. I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's great. If the Steelers don't make it, I'd be totally supporting him because you know me, I like greatness. I don't like mediocrity. I like greatness, and I wouldn't mind seeing a team three-peat in my time. I think that'd be kind of cool. I regret, even as much as I didn't like the Patriots and I was cheering against them in '07, I think we lost something that day in terms of history. We lost the chance of seeing a 19-0 team because I wasn't around when the Dolphins were 17-0 and 72. Sometimes the game is more than just your favorite team winning. Sometimes it's seeing greatness, and we had a chance to see it, and it was a couple plays away from happening, and then of course the Kansas City Chiefs have a chance to three-peat, and I think that'd be kind of cool to see the first Super Bowl three-peat.
Seven, I'm not even going to waste my time anymore with you on the A's. Give me a break.
What
No
about the
one.
A's?
He's just like he's because he's such a fan of the A's moving to Vegas. It's like, okay, do you live here in Vegas? Because if you don't, you should move here to Vegas because you might be the only fan here in Vegas
I don't
for
believe
the
that.
A's. Well, I live in Vegas. No one is talking about that outside of a blurb on the news here and there about the stadium and what gets moved, what's been approved, what's not been approved, et cetera, et cetera.
Here's why the A's are going to work in Vegas, Gerald. Tickets are not going to be like the NFL or the NBA.
Well, they're right there on the strip, Joe. So of course you're going to get.
So you're going to get a lot of it's easy to sell cheap tickets to a game that's happening 81 times during the year versus 8.
Joe, again, I don't disagree that they won't be successful, but again, no one cares here because they're not a team that we wanted in the first place. The Raiders, Joe, your Steelers fans, had you come up and seen that game with me, I think you would understand better about how the Raiders, even with they do have a small fan base, they do have I don't want to say small fan base, but they do have a fan base here, but it's nowhere near what the Golden Knights are because the Golden Knights are ours. It's an expansion team that started from here. It's something that you have. They're not a team that was shoveled, over here, that was moved over here. Your game, Joe, in against Pittsburgh, and the Raiders, again, 70% of that stadium was Pittsburgh fans. The game I went to with the Browns, it was 50-50 or thereabouts. I'm going to go to a game here in the next couple weeks, and I'll tell you guys again how many of the other teams' fans there are. It's again, the Raiders don't even sell out their stadium that they have here in Vegas, but that doesn't matter because the 60 to 80,000 seats get sold anyways by the other teams, fans, and that's going to be the same thing for the A's. But really, when you talk to locals here, they couldn't give a rat's ass about the A's moving here. It's just that plain and simple. Seven likes to rub that in and likes to go ahead and continue to talk about it, but I don't think he even lives here. I don't know. He's got some sort of weird fascination over it because, again, if he lived here, he would understand what a asinine comment he's making about the A's. No one cares.
It's going to take time for the city of Las Vegas with their youth and the way they market. And you had said something that actually
agreed, Eric. 80% for the Chiefs when they were here.
You had said something that made sense. Actually, it's probably deeper than just that. It's you have and the NFL owners can get away with this because the money's distributed evenly, almost in every facet. Mark Davis is in a lot of ways similar to Genie. They're children of geniuses in their arena. Al Davis was an innovator for years, and it wasn't until probably the 90s where he started getting out of touch with what was going on. And the difference is at some point Genie's going to hit a wall. In the NFL, the Ursays, the McCaskies, the Davises, the Bidwells, because these guys don't have to worry about not getting what they know they're getting, they're never going to sell that team. They're never going to have to sell, really. And the only way they endure themselves to the city is if they build a marketing in terms of winning and an identity, which is probably why Mark brought Tom Brady in. And I'm still trying to figure out how that works with him being a commentator. Interesting how the NFL will bend rules for certain guys, huh?
Yep.
But anyways, you said something. I'd go back to what I was saying. You had said something how Devontae Adams had been a Jet for what, 2 weeks, and they still had his
Yes,
billboard up.
they still had with him with Tim Brown. Get this, Joe. Okay, it was on I-95. You had Tim Brown on one side, Raiders logo, Devontae Adams on the right, and they couldn't figure out what new play. And get this, Joe. On top of it, get this, Joe. On top of it, so they finally took it down, right? They finally took it down and replaced the player with a new player, right? So what would you think they would do as far as replacing with a player? What you would think they would replace them with a player to sell tickets, to sell seats, to get a visible face of the team. You would think they would put a current player on there, correct?
I hope they didn't put Henry Ruggs up there.
No. Rich Gannon.
Oh man. Rich Gannon. Poor Rich, man. Poor Rich. God, going back into his career, jeez. If his career would have been so different. My God, his career would have been so different if Marty had just let him play the 97 season out instead of putting back Gerba. And of course, if Al didn't screw up the Chucky thing, I have it could the Chiefs could have won a Super Bowl in 97, and they probably would have won the Super Bowl in 02, 03 had Al not gotten weird about Chucky. Man, that's funny. That's the last great quarterback they had. And that's the thing with Mark Davis. He gave John Gruden a 10-year. Has nothing to do with what he ended up doing with his emails. I had been saying for years that John Gruden was a poser. Years. He just came off as a fake poser. Everyone was great. He'd do that stupid, lame quarterback, whatever the hell it was, and everything's like. The Chucky thing is hilarious. He reminds me of Popeye more than Chucky, just the way he would. All right, dude, come on.
Seven Grand says they'll win within 5 years of being in Vegas, and that they'll have free agents lining up to come to Vegas.
Oh,
it's not that large of a. It's not that large of a stadium. Remember, it's not that large of a stadium. It's only 35,000. I want to say they're keeping it small. Of course,
it sucks. Look, going back to what I was saying about how I love history and greatness. It's so unfortunate that the Oakland A's were staples in my upbringing. Mm-hmm. It's really sad. Oakland A's was a brand. It was a focused brand. It was a iconic brand. You had the greatest players play in Oakland for the last 50 years. Reggie, Raleigh, Canseco, McGuire, Eckersley, Dave Stewart, Ricky Henderson. Imagine Ricky Henderson not being able to say, that's the part that hurts when these kind of things happen, especially in this day and age, especially the fact that Oakland is in the Bay Area, one of the richest areas on the planet. But you had, that makes sense, $7 grand. The state income taxes, Boris is going to want players to go there, and he's going to want players to go to
Florida. How come they can't keep players there in Florida?
I think
Texas too.
Well, I'll tell you why. We hear a lot of political things about Florida and Texas, but no one really talks about the climate enough. Yes, I know Florida is sunny and beachy and all that, but it's not that good. It's kind of overrated over there. There's a lot more.
So 110 in the desert is great.
Yeah, I mean, what do they say? It's a dry heat,
It is a dry heat.
and it's Vegas. Debauchery always wins over anything. Although Miami's pretty.
Yeah, come on, South Beach. We just talked about that last week, man.
I don't like the 3 hour difference in the East Coast. That's the only reason why I would not want to live in the East Coast unless I absolutely had to. I hate watching football at 9 o'clock at night. I think that's terrible. 8 o'clock at night, 8:30. I don't like watching anything that late unless it's the Lakers.
Mhm.
That's it. I don't want to watch a football game at night. A baseball game, and of course, me being a Dodger Laker fan, now I gotta watch. Well, shoot, I'd have to watch the Lakers if I lived in New York or I lived in Florida. I'd have to watch the Lakers half the year at 10:30 at night. That would be horrible.
Um,
I'd be going to bed at 2 in the morning every night.
Seven's arguments about all this
I think
kind of went
7
up.
is great. 7 went from
Well,
6
hold on.
to 5, and now back to 7.
Now
Good
he's going to
job,
go
7.
down to 1. Well, now he's going to go down to 1, and I'll tell you why. Take a look at this, Joe. A's almost made the playoffs last year. They were 69 and 93.
Did you? Is he trolling you?
He's doing a bad job, but that's the case. Eric called it out. Thank you, Eric, for checking up. By the way, yes, they were 69 and 93. So I think the 7 just went down to a 1 on that
Were they in first place the first 2 weeks of the year?
one. That's doesn't matter. He said they were almost in the play. He said those you saw almost in the playoffs. I don't know. By the end of the year, they were right there closing in on the Angels. More so,
Closing in on the Angels.
yes, because the Angels were at 63 wins last year. So
Oh,
they
you meant
Oakland
that as
had
a
the
negative. Okay, gotcha.
Oakland had the third worst record in the entire American League last year. They were 25 games behind the Yankees, and I'll leave it at that.
Baseball, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you tell me that, Joe, about the Florida and the Texas and the no state tax, which again, in some other ways, like for instance, for football and basketball, we've seen that before used, but these Florida teams can't hold on to their players. We just talked about that last week in regards to the pitchers that they let go and the players that they've had to let go because they financially won't keep on to them. And Texas, I mean, after that great run that they've had, they have not been able to sustain it as well. They were under 500 last year as well.
Yeah, baseball can be fickle, and the run that the Dodgers are on we've seen this before with Atlanta and New York, the Yankees, in terms of its longevity. But most teams don't. Most of these owners in baseball don't really play to win a championship year in and year out.
Yeah.
Most of them, ooh, we have this player. Ooh, maybe we might be able to do something, and then maybe they might sign him, maybe they don't. Have you noticed that any star player really doesn't ever stay anywhere, like with their team? I think Aaron Judge recently is like the only guy that I can think of at this moment where his own team kept him. Otani left.
Mike Trout is
Soto
the
left.
only one still standing, but
Harper left. Yeah.
I mean, that's based off of circumstance. He got the contract at the right time. He got injured at the right time. So I think eventually he will get traded if Angels eat part of his salary, but we'll see.
Where would he go? Does he want to go back to Jersey? or play for Philly. I know there's
I,
been talk
I,
about
I,
that.
I don't know. But again, if the Angels are willing to eat part of the salary just to get rid
I
of
don't
him,
think Moreno wants to do that. I think that's the last attraction he has to have people
he
coming.
tried to sell the team and no one would buy it. So there you go.
Well, it's because he wanted more money than what someone wants to pay, right?
Yep.
But does that
I
make
agree.
sense? Why wouldn't you buy it? You're in LA. You're going to get your money back if you're a billionaire.
I mean, the Angels, they're nondescript. They're the other team, and like seven, we were talking about the A's. Nobody seems to care about them too much, but yet they still get what 2.5 to 3 million every year, easy. So, I mean, they don't get the attendance of the Dodgers, but yeah, 2.5 million coming in there every year, win or
You know
lose.
why, right?
That's because again, a lot of people from other teams,
The
their
Anaheim
fans.
Angels have the best food at that stadium.
Yes, they do. I haven't been there in a
The best
while, but
food.
they do. They do.
And I don't it's not even close. It's not even close.
Well,
It's easy to get there too. It's easy to get in and out.
yes, right there next to
And
the freeway.
yeah, it's easy to get in and out. It's next to Disneyland. So if somebody does some kind of package where they can go to Disneyland and go to an Angels game, it fits.
And
But
then the ponds nearby.
I always, when you look at it from a marketing standpoint, how much cooler would it be if the Angels were competitive? Because
Oh, great.
then you have this
Rivalry.
city rivalry. They play once a year. You have the possibility of, if they can make a run, maybe you'll see a freeway series. The Mets right now, because of Steve Cohen, is creating this division between him and the Yankees, which I don't know if there's ever going to be a division. Really, the Yankees have too much history to.
You got to talk. You got to keep talking the smack in order to go
The
ahead and get
Mets
that.
have to win. They have
Yeah.
to win in a way where it's they have to win championships. Like the Dodgers have won 2 in the last 5 seasons, and they're on a path to possibly win another 3 or 4.
That they are.
And that does affect the Yankees a little bit, but not really, because again, we're talking a team that has 27 championships. But it's also on the other side of the country, so it's not as most of the people that have been around that are around now don't really they never really know they don't feel the LA Yankee thing yet. They might feel it now, especially if the Yankees somehow find a way to get back to the World Series, which I think they could if they can get another frontline for pitcher and get someone like Christian Walker at first, and then I mean they're gonna have a lot of money here. I I think they have a chance if they can focus on getting the right pieces just to fill in the gaps here and there. I like Soto, believe me, I do, but not 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 at 800 million.
Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, great conversation today. But I know Xbox needs to go because he needs to get his G-string bikini fix because he says he's off to the beach. But before we do, tomorrow is kind of an open day, Joe. I said Inside Sports Fantasy Football. I still want to see if Chris can do that, or if not, I'd still like to record it tomorrow. But how about your college football special? Would you be interested in doing
Well,
that
that's
tomorrow?
we were gonna do the 12 man, and we're gonna talk about each team and all that. Yeah, definitely want to do that before it starts because I think this is going to be a rather exciting few weeks of college football.
Well, tomorrow's an open day, and then Wednesday after John goes
I
on
don't know
the
if I
air.
have enough preparation for tomorrow yet. I have to sit down
Okay.
and prep a little bit. I'd say Thursday's probably the best day.
Okay, I will be on it. That's the case because I probably will be doing a
Could do
VGA
Wednesday. I
special.
could do Wednesday. I could probably
Okay.
prepare tomorrow.
Okay, because I know Thursday I'm going to try really hard to do a live special from on the VGAs on the Cosmos. I really want to do that. Every time I've done that in the past, it's just been a great conversation. So I'd like to do that on Thursday and then have something earlier, like I said with L Rob. So yeah, Wednesday, maybe 9 p.m. ish. Do that then.
Yeah, let me kind of see how the day goes I feel like this is 9 o'clock. Actually, should work. I think 9 o'clock would work.
Because you said, didn't you want to bring your cousin on this too?
He wanted to get on. I'll talk to him and see if he
Yeah,
wants to
I'd
get
love to have
involved.
him on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. That's just so sad for me though. I will be sad through. I'll be okay, be myself, but I'll be sad because again, V had the chance and didn't get it done. Shout out to Boise State, and the Heisman Trophy finalists were announced as well. A shout out to them. But yeah, again, some good teams in there. Surprised SMU got in over Alabama.
No, Alabama lost 3 times. One of those losses was to Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
I think deep down I knew that loss to Vanderbilt would end up costing them a slot.
Oh, Sanders or Cam Ward as
Cam Ward.
quarterback? You like Cam Ward? I like Sanders though, but Hunter I think should
I
be
think in
the
NFL terms. I don't think in college terms. A lot of
yeah.
times with quarterbacks.
I
I don't think Sanders will be a good pro quarterback.
really okay.
Cam might be a good one in
Okay,
the right system.
I would both are good to me, but I think Hunter is the real deal. I seen
Yeah,
Hunter's the real deal.
yeah. As long as he doesn't go to the Raiders. Sorry, Sean.
Sorry, Seven.
Unless Ben Johnson goes to the Raiders,
All
which
right.
I don't know if they're going to fire Antonio Pierce yet.
That was yeah. Again, don't get me started on Pierce. He's a rah guy, but as you can see, X's and O's just not that good.
I'm very happy for Bo Nix so far. I thought he was going to be a dud, but then again, Sean Payton is his coach.
I think the book's still out on Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams will have to adjust. Caleb Williams will have to really focus on he needs to put himself in a position that doesn't allow arrogance to go into his head, which that's why a lot of us looked at him coming out of USC as first of all, he's coming out of USC. Very, 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 very few people come out of USC as a quarterback and play well in the NFL. Carson Palmer was one, but even he didn't have the career probably should have had. Matt Leinart didn't play well. Darnold is having a renaissance, so I guess the jury's still out to him. But Caleb Williams, unfortunately, had to go to Chicago, and I don't like Chicago in terms of the ownership. Ownership always kind of gives you a little bit of an identity of what the team is. I've never been I don't like the McCaskies. I don't like the Bidwells. I don't like Mike Brown in Cincinnati. These guys have always had this aura of loser, even though they've won a few things here and there, but it's never consistent. It's always kind of country club-like, especially with Chicago. Bidwell, too. Mike Brown's just a slob, just a decrepit, old thinking, just like his dad was. His dad gets a lot of credit for being a revolutionary coach, and he was. But Paul Brown also was very, very detrimental to Bill Walsh during his up-and-coming career. And I take Bill Walsh over Paul Brown every day and 4 times on Sunday. I don't like guys that do that stuff. Chuck Noll never did that. Vince Lombardi never did that. So I always thought that was kind of, some of the stuff that Paul Brown was
their
doing.
offensive line is absolutely horrible, and I'll just leave it at that.
And that's the other thing too, folks. You have to build a line for your star quarterback. It can destroy confidence for a quarterback when the line
He's
is
been
set
sacked
right.
more times than anyone in the league.
It's really bad. It's really bad when you don't set yourself for that. And Chicago is notorious for doing stuff like that.
What about the Texas kids? $7,000 is asking.
Texas kid?
Texas kids like Ewers and Manning.
I'm not a big fan of 2 quarterbacks at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Florida had it one time. I remember in the 90s. Can't remember their names. I prefer 1 quarterback. If you have more than 1 quarterback, that means you only have a quarterback. But injuries played a part in that, so I get it. I don't think Texas is going to win it. I think I've picked Georgia to win it all.
Georgia's got their number.
And Georgia doesn't have to worry about Alabama. I said as soon as Alabama didn't win, or go in, I was like, oh man, Georgia's probably their confidence is probably skyrocketing right now, right?
Yep. We'll talk about that
And
though on Wednesday, though.
yeah, and yeah, it's at this point, I know that Carson Beck isn't going to play. I don't know if he'll play at all the rest of the way. So now, who do you got? Who's going to be the guy?
Draymond Green, according to Xbox, was reportedly drug tested following his performance last night. They drug tested me and I was clear, but I was hoping they'd find the LeBron chromosome in me. Paraphrasing Draymond.
Really?
Okay.
What do
Well,
I got?
he and LeBron are good friends. So they talk smack all the time.
Yeah. Good for him.
All right. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Joe, you've been tremendous as always. You guys got your Joe Soro fix for today. Let's see what we can do about tomorrow. And on Wednesday, I'll let John Costa talk Lakers to you. And then Wednesday night, we'll go ahead and talk some college football. Get knee deep into that as well. So, yes, we're filling up your hours with some good sports talk. Any last thoughts before we head on out, Joe?
Go Lakers.
Go Lakers. Absolutely. Go Lakers indeed. Again, if you have questions, comments, for those on YouTube commenting, I'm trying to get to you as fast as I can. A lot of comments to get through. A lot of opinions are flying around. Always let them fly around right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.